HSTV, inspiring wellness.
News in 30 is brought to you by HSTV and Underglow TV in Ohio. A very big welcome to News in 30 right here on HSTV. My name is Savara Aiden. Today is the 9th of April 2024. Welcome to some local and international news update right here in News in 30. Now, we are streaming live on our YouTube platform at HSTV Live GH. Do well to like, comment and share. Now, let's go review some headlines making bulletin today. A group of unemployed graduate nurses and midwives from the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, took to the streets on Monday to demand posting and protest against the government's delay in granting financial clearance for their payment and permanent job placement. The Ghana Mine Workers Union of the Trade Union Congress has announced plans to stage a 5-day protest at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and the Jubilee House beginning on Monday, April 15, 2024. 6 major civil society organizations in Ghana have threatened to stage a demonstration if the government fails to address concerns over $40 million worth of health commodities locked up at the Tama port. And also in other stories, President Joe Biden said his administration is inching closer to finalizing a plan to provide student debt relief to millions of Americans. These and many more will be bringing to you the next 30 minutes. A quick reminder that we're streaming live on our YouTube platform at HSTV Live GH. Do well to like, comment and share. Now the news in details. Henry Quartey, the Minister of Interior, has promised to course the arrest of prosecution of social commentators and persons who will stir up hate, fear and panic with their posts ahead of the 2024 elections. Mr. Quartey advised such persons to stop such practices or have themselves to be blamed. He made this comment when he paid working visit to the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, on Monday, the 8th of April 2024.
Pass a law in Parliament to force publication. Social media has become a space where everybody threatens everybody and says anything anyhow. As IGP, you have the powers with you. People sit in the comforts of their rooms and they threaten. Oh, on the day of elections, you make trouble. Anybody who makes those remarks will go after you. Because that is what the law says. Your statements, your actions should not incite the public. It must not create fear and panic in the public. Free speech, free association, free movement, but we must be guided by our statements not to create fear and panic.
And that was Honorable Henry Quartey, the Minister for Interior for Ghana. Now, let's move on to another story for today. The Graduate Student Association of Ghana, KNUST chapter, has launched a research fund to enhance and promote the research interest of its graduate students. The fund will support graduates in their quest to solve societal problems through research. The Vice Chancellor of KNUST, Professor Mrs. Rita Akosia-Dixon, reiterated the essence of research and the university's efforts in promoting research geared towards improving and solving societal problems. She highlighted that as the best university in the world for the provision of quality education, as published by the 2023 Times Higher Education Impact Rankings, the university places a minimum and premium on research activities right here in Ghana and beyond.
And Technology University. It is our mandate, it is our responsibility to go through research, to be able to profess solutions to the challenges that humanity has. And that is what, for us, is our mandate. And what you have seen this afternoon is a clear indication. The fact that we place so much premium on research as a research-intensive institution. What I would want to do at this juncture is to appeal to all institutions, corporate organizations, well-wishers, people who think that through research we are able to do a lot to solve problems, to come and support this graduate research fund.
Our reputation as a university thrives on our research works. And we thought it through that as executives of graduate students, we need to come up with a policy that would help and support research work at the graduate school level, supporting them with a hub and as well as financially supporting them when it comes to their work. Together, we sat down with our Senate, the Research Committee, the Research Director, the Directorate of Student Affairs, the Office of Grants and Research, as well as the Office of the Vice Chancellor, and came up with this policy that would help enhance and enable our graduate students become better.
Now moving on to another story, a group of unemployed graduate nurses and midwives from the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, took to the streets on Monday to demand posting and protest against the government's delays in granting financial clearance for their permanent job placement. The protesters, comprising graduates from the 2020, 2021 and 2022 batches, hail from various public universities and nursing training colleges. President of the Graduate Unemployed Nurses and Midwives Association, Haruna Ibrahim, told the media that they have been informed severally that the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Finance are discussing their clearance, but all have proven futile.
Because that's when we had the first demonstration in Tamale, we were told that the Ministry of Health and then the Ministry of Finance are meeting to discuss I don't know who instructed that, but then that was the message we got, that they have been assigned to, instructed to meet to discuss our clearance. So about the next day, we saw a release from the Ministry of Health addressing what we described as ghost officials at the Ministry of Health. At the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Finance, we think there are people there who are giving financial clearance and postings to some of our colleagues who can afford between 5,000 to 10,000. And when that money they pay to them. And immediately they pay, they get posted. We know if there is no evidence, we have colleagues who are working on the field. When you ask them, they say we did special posting. So how did they get there? How did they get there? We don't know. We want to know how that special posting is done. Other than that, we all completed school, we sat in the same class, and you go and ask them, they say we did special posting. How special are they aside us? And they pay money. We know they pay money. After today, we hope and pray that after this, our clearance is issued. Other than that, our next thing is we are going to sleep at the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Finance. So when we are going with our mats and our clothes. We are going to sleep there until our postings is given to us. We don't have money. We don't have money. You know, this morning train, if someone has to come from, you see, as assistance. When we are coming here, I get up in the morning, I have 20 cedis in my pocket. And that 20 cedis, if I have to use that 20 cedis to buy food, then I'd rather walk and come. So as it stands, they say they are coming. When you ask them, they'll tell you they are coming. So when you go to work, if you are a mason, you go to help a mason. And the maximum the mason will give you is 40 cedis. That 40 cedis, today if I'm using 20 cedis for transportation, 20 cedis for transportation won't be enough. So if personally, I came from Ahinsan. So from Ahinsan to this place, I'm not spending less than 25 Ghana cedis. So they are coming.
And these are some aggrieved unemployed nurses and midwives right here in the country seeking for the government's assistance for permanent job placement. Now let's move on to another story. The National Petroleum Authority has responded to the Africa Center for Energy Policy's apprehension regarding the upcoming price floor regulation for petroleum products set to commence on April 16, 2024. The NPA reassured that the new measure is within within its legal mandate and aims to safeguard both consumers and petroleum service providers from the adverse effect of aggressive pricing competition. The authority emphasized that the price floor is designed to cover only fixed costs, taxes and statutory margins, ensuring fair cost recovering from PSPs without compromising the competitive landscape or inflating consumer prices. In some other story, the Ghana Mine Workers Union of the Traders Union Congress has announced plans to stage a 5-day protest at the Ministry of Land and Natural Resources and the Jubilee House beginning on Monday, April 15, 2024. Their stance is to pressure the government into revoking the mining lease of Future Global Resources Limited, operators of the Bogoso Prestea mines. The union argues that the Future Global Resources has not shown adequate financial capability to effectively run the mine since assuming control in 2020. During a media briefing, the General Secretary of the union, Abdul Mumin, questioned why the ministry has delayed in revoking the license despite recommendations received by the Minerals Commission to do so.
The mining lease ought to be cancelled or terminated, and immediate steps taken to ensure that prospective investors who are available and ready to run the mine are brought in. Unfortunately, this has happened for the last 2 to 3 weeks. We are not hearing anything. Every attempt to reach the ministry, particularly the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, has proven futile. Meanwhile, that recommendation, which has subsequently been endorsed by the Attorney General's Department, only requires the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to do something very simple, and that is to direct the Minerals Commission to terminate or cancel the mining lease. And that is what is required as we speak to you now. And so we do not know what is holding the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources from proceeding to cancel or terminate the mining lease. Everybody is being held in a state of a limbo. In accordance with the Public Order Act, 15th of April 2024, we begin the demonstrations and we begin the picketing at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. And it's going to run from the 15th, the 16th, and the 17th at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Subsequently, on the 18th, the 19th, we are at the Jubilee House to demonstrate, because we believe that we are being held to ransom by the officers of the state. The union, for that matter, have gone ahead to present a short-term operational plan to the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to the effect that once the mining lease is terminated, the current manpower base of the Future Global Resources mine is run by nationals. In other words, from the general manager to the least person on the mine is a black person. And so we can run that mine without...
Now moving on to another story, the National Association of Institutional Suppliers has suspended its planned picketing at the Ministry of Education after a closed-door meeting with officials to discuss payment of monies owed them. Members of association with supplies logistics, including books, uniforms, PE kits and house dresses to senior high schools, gathered at the ministry to register their displeasure over the failure of the government to pay them their outstanding arrears for 2 academic years.
We are here today to tell Edutum that we are in need of our money. Eastern region, and I am Eastern Regional Rep. I have told you that she owed me 172 to 6588. Honestly, I didn't add it, so you can add it to yourself. It has been affected my business. Those I employed them to sew it for me, they have quit from my workshop just because I own them. Even last, when we are doing the press conference, they came with me. And after that, they told me that, Mommy, it seems you are not ready to pay us. So we are going to find other work to do. So I'm alone in my workshop. Meanwhile, my leg is paining me. Thank you.
That was a very sad one right there. We are asking for the government to listen to the call and also attend to their plea. Now let's move on to another story. Now 6 major civil society organizations in Ghana have threatened to stage a demonstration if the government fails to address concerns over the $40 million worth of health commodities locked up at the Tama port. The commodities comprise antiretrovirals for HIV treatment, TB and malaria medicines, among others. Addressing a press conference at its secretariat in Accra on Monday, April 8th, the leadership of the coalition of CSOs network in HIV, TB and malaria expressed concerns over the continued delays in clearing the medicines which have been stuck at the port since May last year. According to the CSOs, the situation has created severe shortage across health facilities, putting other lives at risk.
In line with regular practice, Global Fund made available $400,000, being 1% of the value of the commodities, to cover procurement and supply management costs. However, at the time the commodities arrived, Government of Ghana informed Global Fund that the amount of $400,000 would not be sufficient for the clearance due to increase in port charges. This was coupled with the fact that Parliament had failed to grant waivers for AU, ECOWAS, and COVID-19 recovery levies. According to government, the required amount in taxes and levies and port charges for the clearance of the commodities will be $3.6 million. The Global Fund raised concerns about this amount and reminded government that as part of the framework agreement between the Minister of Health, Minister of Finance, and the Global Fund, they are not supposed to pay taxes and levies to commodities they donate freely to the country. Our greatest fears are that if no action is taken now, by the time the medications are cleared, some may have expired or may no longer be safe for human consumption. In March 2024, a 12-member delegation from the Global Fund paid a working visit to the country to follow up on the locked up commodities. In spite of all their efforts, they did not make any headway, and the commodities still remain uncleared at the ports. They have therefore indicated that Ghana risks losing all Global Fund support if government fails to act on the matter. To start with, they have already suspended all commodity shipments to the country until the ones at the ports are cleared. This development has dire consequences for the hundreds of thousands of our compatriots whose daily survival depends on free medications donated by Global Fund. In view of the above, we, the leadership of CSO networks, whose area of operations mainly focus on HIV and AIDS and malaria and TB, plan to stage a mass public demonstration to present a petition to the presidency and parliament for immediate action on these two critical issues. We wish to use this medium to invite all CSO activists and all well-meaning Ghanaians across the 16 regions of the country to join us. The proposed date is Wednesday, April 17, 2024, and the convergence point is Obra Sports, Kwame Nkrumah Circle Interchange, at 7 a.m.
And that was Mr. Ernest Amoabeng, the president of the Ghana HIV and AIDS Network. Well, on this note, let's go for a very quick breather. When we come back, sports updates is up next. Do stay with us.
Fellow Ghanaians, I am your humble servant, Mr. Mbox. Uni sɛ me deɛ ade a ɛfo na yɛ kama ɛna me kanfo ɛde ɛma wɔ ɛno nti me kanfo Mbox 100 decoder ɛde ama wo ade a ɛyɛ paa ɛde so wakɔ adwuma na wo favorite movie anaasɛ telenovela anaa sports yɛayɛ ɛde agya wɔ ɛyɛ papa with Mbox 100 decoder wobɛtum de pen drive ahyɛ ho na wa record your favorite movie anaasɛ telenovela utumi so connect HDMI cable edema screen boozing ewo Wi-Fi sanso ene wo LAN na se internet ne die abozige sanso na utumi ede bonyom amofa ne die omo utumi ede bo game no feel abusamu ni na Mbox 100 decoder ema over 15,000 channels Ghana and we are suffering now. You could no a free. What the answer be subscribe 3 months. Abosumi a year 100 Ghana cedis. Umpere na open your body. Majimidie. Unsuko nekwa jodie. From 24 matrofo iso. 0505 776761 0505 776761 Mbox 100 decoder. Make your life colorful. Mr. Mbox, my Jimmy dear, me na me cool.
Sports news with me, Precious Azumara, here on News in 30. And getting into the stories for today, Minister for Youth and Sports Mustafa Yusuf has disclosed plans that's underway for the establishment of an annual sports festival to discover new sports talent across the country is underway. So speaking on the game, the minister indicated that the project will see a competition in athletics, football, hockey, basketball, etc. from the districts, regional, as well as the national levels.
It's not going to be only be concentrated in Accra, but across all the 265 districts that we have. Okay. So at the district level, we do we select some sports schools, maybe not all the 29, but at least the one that we have competitive advantage in boxing, athletics, football, swimming, hockey, and others, and even basketball, which is my sports.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, you love
wrestling.
basketball.
No, basketball.
Okay. Basketball.
Yes,
oh.
Which is my sports. Okay. It's something that we are going to allow them to do national competitions. Okay. At the they started from the district level. Okay. We get the best. Then they will do the regional level. Then we'll do inter-regionals to select, and also tennis.
Yeah.
Tennis want to do Ghana Open.
Tennis,
okay. And at Ghana Open, we are going to do competitions across the regions and select the best to compete for the Ghana Open. Okay. And we are talking to the Australian High Commission to support us in this direction. Okay. So the national sports games, is going to be the legacies for these African games, where we have annual national sports games. A committee has already been put in place, and we are looking for a reliable media partner for these games, so that we do it from the district level, regional level to the national level. Then also we are also positioning Accra and this facility for not only for Ghanaians but for West Africa and the African sub-region, where countries can come here and camp, do their training, and also even do the African Championship. So.
And that was the Minister for Youth and Sports, Mustafa Isi, giving us his plans that are underway for the establishment of an annual sport festival to discover a new sporting talent across the country. Now let's move into the camp of Dreams FC, and their head coach Karim Zito has expressed no regrets over his decision not to apply for the Black Stars coaching position. The statement comes after his team secured a spot in the semi-finals of the CAF Confederations Cup. The Ghanaian FA Cup champions Dreams FC demonstrated their resilience by coming from behind to draw with Stade Malien in Kumasi on Sunday, following a 2-1 win in Bamako, thereby securing their place in the last four of the competition. When questioned about his decision, Dito affirmed regrets. No, because every decision you take in your life is your destiny, so stand by it. This he stated. Now, away from the camp of Dreams FC, let's talk about Accra Great Olympics coach Jimmy Kobler. And he has found himself in hot waters with the Ghana Football Association after his remarks following their narrow loss to Nations FC on Friday, April 5, 2024. Kobler accused referee Benjamin Sifa of bias and suggested that his decision favored the home team, leading to their 1-0 defeat. Kobler's comments have prompted the Ghana FA to take action, alleging that his remarks constitute misconduct that brings the name of the game into disrepute. However, the coach has been formally charged and has until Wednesday, April 10th, 2024 to respond to the charges. Now moving on, talking about assistant coach of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, David Oklu. He has assured fans that the team will get back to winning ways in no time. So the Porcupine Warriors club has been winless in the last 5 matches, losing 4 and drawing 1. This has massively affected the team's chances of winning the Ghana Premier League title at the end of the season. After the team's goalless draw with Bechem United on Sunday, David Oklu called on fans to continue supporting the club regardless. And I'll be all on sports news right here today. My name is Precious Azuma. Global Story is up next. And that was Precious Azuma with some sports updates. Now let's go to the international front for today. President Joe Biden said his administration is inching closer to finalizing a plan to provide student debt relief to millions of Americans. The president's latest plan comes after the Supreme Court struck down a 2022 push to erase student debt for more than 40 million Americans. The new plan targets up to 30 million Americans. In part, it will cancel up to $20,000 in runaway interest for borrowers who now owe more than what they started off with when repaying the said debt. Now, it would also wipe out the entirety of interest for borrowers enrolled in the SAVE plan and make less than $120,000 a year.
Too many Americans, especially young people, are saddled with unsustainable debts in exchange for a college degree. The ability for working and middle-class folks to repay their student loans has become so burdensome that a lot can't repay it for even decades after being in school. When I took office, 7,000 public service had their debts forgiven. But the program wasn't working very well. So I called in the Department of Education and other departments, and we got to fix this and fix it now. Thanks to our reforms, nearly 900,000 have had their debts forgiven, including 16,400 right here in Wisconsin. Right here in Wisconsin. Today, I'm proud to announce 5 major actions to continue to relieve student debt from more than 30 million Americans since I started my administration. First, my administration will propose a new rule to cancel up to $20,000 in runaway interest for any borrower that owes more now than when they started paying the loan. It's a big difference. And for low and middle class families enrolled in my SAVE program, we'll cancel all of your interest, Second, we plan to cancel student debt for borrowers who still owe student loans even though they started repaying them more than 2 decades ago. Folks, third, we plan to cancel debt for about 2 million borrowers who would be eligible for debt forgiveness through the SAVE program, public service loan forgiveness, or other debt canceling programs, but are not enrolled in these programs.
That was President Joe Biden with a speech about students that are owing some debt. Well, this is all we bring your way today, but before we take a bow, a quick recap of the headlines. A group of unemployed graduate nurses and midwives from the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, took to the street on Monday to demand posting and protest against the government's delay in granting financial clearance for their permanent job placement. The Ghana Mine Workers Union of the Trade Union Congress has announced plans to stage a 5-day protest at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and the Jubilee House beginning on Monday, April 15, 2024. Also, 6 major civil society organizations in Ghana have threatened to stage a demonstration if the government fails to address concerns over $40 million worth of health commodities locked up at the Tama port. And President Joe Biden said his administration is inching closer to finalizing a plan to provide student debt relief to millions of Americans. Thank you for joining us for today's News in 30 with me, Savara Aiden. Now, stay. We have more programs for you right here on HSTV. Do stay with us.